So today's ambience is a wonderful stormy hilltop. Just checking to make sure everything's recording properly. Seems to be good. Today's model is a friend of mine from a LGBT creative theatre group that I'm part of. We have a Zoom meeting every Tuesday. This is Becky Short. This is not the Becky that I'm always referring to. The Becky that I'm always referring to is my wife. This is not my wife. Basically, I said to the group, look, I'm looking for some expressive faces. Week 3 is expressions. And I gave my prompts to them, and before anyone else could say anything, Becky sent me like 50 photographs of herself as different variations on these themes. And I only needed like 4 or 5. So I picked out the best, or at least the ones that I think will be the most interesting challenge. So day 1 is teeth. As you can see, we've got some gnashy teeth there. I'm not sure where to start with this, really. I guess I'd start the way that I start them all. Now I'm going to try and hold the paper a little bit more flat today, because as I said in a little pre-video to this, if I hold the paper up like this, I get this perspective thing going on, and it kind of messes with my ability to judge the shape and the space. So we have the kind of the dome head there, and there's this interesting, like, it's not really a brow ridge, it just kind of comes in like a little notch there, and down here, and you can sort of tell that there's this clenchedness of the jaw where it comes in before the chin. Chin comes in around there, and then it kind of comes back this way. I love this flared nostril that's going on as well. When I asked for bared teeth, it could have been anything. It could have been anger, it could have been like a big grin. But I kind of like the fact that this has a lot of flaring in the lips and the nostrils. It gives me some more to capture. I think it's gonna be really helpful for trying to get more of the actual image. And the thing is, because of the sort of the clenchedness of the jaw, the eyes, that, like, ordinarily my eyes would be quite low on the image. In fact, I think that maybe I've made a mistake here already, because the position of the head shouldn't have changed. So the eyes are still going to be down there, but then we need a lot more kind of extra below, which I think I actually have. I'm not going to worry too much about that for now. But there's this slight ridge here for the eye that comes in. Add a little bit like so. That's that little cheek curve, and then down here to the chin. So an interesting profile. When I asked for these pictures, I actually said, could you do some with a tighter angle sideways, because I have a tendency to draw faces which just turn slightly to one side rather than faces which are like properly turned all the way. So this is like, it's literally like if the brow line is here, yeah, that's about right. So if the brows are here, the eyes are like here, and the nose really only comes to like here. It's quite a short nose, possibly because it's upturned. Got to capture that, the fact that it's upturned. In fact, this comes in, it almost comes all the way to the edge of the face. So it's sort of, have I drawn that nose too large? See, if this side of the nose lines up with that there, that's because I've put too much of a gap between the brows. You see, I'm learning already. So I put too much of a gap between the brows, the nose ends up too large. This kind of nostril going on here. I'm trying to loosen this up a little bit in the initial drawing phase. In fact, that's actually too low. This really is a very short nose. Obviously, the head is a different scale, but the nose is surprisingly short compared to the rest of the face. The nose kind of comes in about here. Again, my printer's not done a great job of showing me exactly where the lines are on this, but it's like the nose itself is wrinkled. There's like a sort of wrinkling of the nose, presumably because of the scowl, and that kind of comes down to here, and there's and then this nostril. Oh wow, if you're watching this, Becky, all I can say is I'm sorry. This is the absolute best that I can do, and it's making the nose look a little bit too piggy, I think. I'm hoping that once everything else is in, I'll be able to do something about that. So that this line here is kind of illusory. It's something that we know is there because of the shape of the face, but you can't actually see it. This line, on the other hand, is definitely here. And it's right where the brow meets up with that. This brow comes almost all the way over to here. Now we have this. That's almost a flat line there. It's a very cross-looking eye. There's that little bit of curve there. And no, it's not a... Again, I'm trying to get the flow of the tension of this right. This isn't a curl like that. This is a curl like that. This is raised cheek tension, like so. And there's a similar thing going on around here, but this actually does curve around the eye because of the curvature of the head. And that's a very tight curve there that comes right into here, and it's like right in where the brow is. I also like that in this picture she's not looking straight forward. A lot of the ones that I've done, the model has been looking directly at the camera. Even if the head is turned, the eyes are looking straight at. The end result being that they all kind of have this posed appearance to them, which is okay, but it's got like... I feel like I'm capturing the emotion a lot more than I'm actually capturing the face itself. Maybe it'll come together near the end. Who knows? So from here we have a very strong line down to there. The chin does actually almost meet up with that. So the curve of the chin is like so. And the mouth has a kind of... It's almost a... Like it's... I can't even describe it. It's like a kind of... It actually curves up here. You can see the lip pushing its way back in. And it sort of curves to about there. And then this will come up like so. This is just me roughing it out. This isn't what it's actually going to look like in the end, but it's like you can actually see like the teeth. I mean, this is why I wanted this, right? Is for the teeth, and you can see the line of the teeth ends before the edge of the mouth. So the mouth comes in like this. And you can sort of see almost about there, this lip, and also here, sort of to about there. So you've got kind of the internals of the mouth. I feel like I've overdrawn this. So this comes quite close to this line. And the line of the teeth starts kind of there. So that's sort of how the teeth go. But then the actual inside of the mouth cuts those off. So you have this kind of it's like a snarl almost. Now I've done this wrong. And I'll tell you how I've done this wrong. I feel like the gap there is the right size. You've got the space for this philtrum here. The gap there is the right size, but the teeth aren't tall enough. Like, this is a very squat tooth compared to the length of that. Because if you look, the teeth on the bottom are slightly shorter, and I've got more space below than I have above. So I'm going to start this again. I feel like the spacing was correct, because this one's kind of in the middle. But I feel like it needs to come all the way down to here. Because you can see the top edge of it. And it's quite a sharp curve as it comes down in a sort of like so. And then this one comes to here. And then you have that little extra chompy one there. And again, I've pulled the side of this mouth out too far to get it close to this line, because that line is not just this line. There is a secondary line that comes down. And the mouth goes to that one, not to this one. So that's part of why it looks wrong, is because because that tooth should literally be cut off about there. And that's the end of that, and then this comes this way. That's too much of a curve. Check to make sure everything's still recording. Yep. So now we have smaller teeth down here. So this kind of ends about there-ish. See, actually, that's a good point. These teeth end before that one even begins, so there's no tooth there. That is the last tooth. And this one kind of exists by itself in the the darkness of the mouth, which I'm going to have to capture somehow. It might look a bit odd. So there's those 3 teeth. This one comes to about here. And there's one more, and then that's it. That's the end of my mouth. So that end's kind of there. This, I think it's fuller than I'm drawing there. It's more like there's a curve there, and there's a wrinkle there, but I don't think I need to do the rest of this. I think that'll actually satisfy the demands of the contour. So this is going to be... See, the eye actually closes off there, but there's a lot more darkness from the lid there. Similarly, that eye contours off there, but there is more darkness from what I think are eyelashes there. Let's work on getting the hairline in. So the hairline kind of comes down to there, but then the actual hair itself takes over. Thank God there's no ears on this one. I'm starting to really develop a fear of drawing ears because they've done so wrong in the recent images. Kind of have a bit of hair coming down just behind the eye, and it's got this kind of airy sort of fringe of hair here, which then joins onto the mane. It's like a kind of upward sway in that direction. And this is good because this shape kind of cuts off where that goes. So you get a feeling for the underlying structure there. And this waves down here and like so. And then behind here, sort of almost at a lower height, it's almost like this kind of comes up like a wave, and there's other hair behind it, comes down this way. I feel like that should come in further. Right. See, now, I'm tempted to say that this is at the point where I need to start thinking about inking it. And yet, it feels like it's quite a long way off that point, and I'm not sure why. I feel like there are some decisions that I haven't yet made about these contours. And I feel like the mouth is going to look like an absolute train wreck when I actually get around to drawing it. Ah, you see, there's a thing I hadn't noticed, is that this philtrum is completely wrong. Because where this comes down from here, it almost kind of merges in with where the mouth was. So that's, although you can't see that line, that's where it should go. Because that is what that is. And this line won't be there at all. So you have a bit of upward angle there, but do I need that line? Does that line need to be present? So oof. See, that feels like too much, but without it, it doesn't feel like enough. So maybe what I'm actually missing is that I need to draw in this line, but not actually have it connect to those. Like this should sort of run out a little higher. It should come to about here. Yes? Hello? I'm just doing my art. Thought I'd start earlier today. I can't hear you, what? I can't really hear you. Nope, can't hear you. This lip is definitely thicker than I'm drawing it. See, it's quite narrow there, but then it fattens out because that's an actual, like that's the full curve of the lip there that is coming down. I can only apologise if that's really loud. I might have to go in and edit that later to make it a bit quieter when it's finally on the video. You see, part of me wonders if maybe we don't need that part at all, and if we can get away with just defining this edge of the mouth. But there is definitely lip here. And there's also this coming down from here, actually, now that I think about it. God, I feel like this is going to look so ugly when it's finished. And that's really doing a disservice to Becky. I basically asked her to pull a horrible face. I basically said, hey, could you look ugly for me? And she said, yes, of course I'll look ugly for you. And the end result is that now the image is going to make her feel just dreadful. If you're watching this, I can only apologise. You gave me exactly what I asked for, and for that I am grateful. Okay. So this hair's coming up here. This is kind of, it's the same. It's this direction. I feel like there's not enough forehead as well. Like this shouldn't start there. It should start a little bit higher. But the actual hairline should be, and it should go up more. Right. Despite my bad judgment, I'm going to take this to ink now. Actually, no, one more thing first. Because you see, this line does not exist in a vacuum. It kind of exists as part of a line that goes like that. Because you can see this sort of joins up there. Now, I don't know if I want to draw all of that in the ink, but I know that I need to capture some of it. I don't know if I need to capture all of this. I don't know if I need to capture all of that, but I feel like I need to at least recognize that it's there for the purposes of legitimacy. Yeah. It's kind of a... Okay. I'm putting off the inevitable. So let's get into it. And the first thing I'm going to go right in and say the first line I'm going to actually make solid is the nose. Just because I feel like it's the part that has the best structure to it, like from what I've drawn. And it feels like it's the part that will shake out the best, as it were. I'm going to get the eyes in next. I need to make sure that I express that that does actually continue up there. That's not the entire nose. So this eye has a... like it's sort of the second lid of the eye goes to there. That's what really defines that. And there's similar kind of things going on with this one, in that you have this lower curve here, and then this comes into a point. But on this one, there's no upper lid so much as there's like a kind of, I don't know, it's like a sort of lash line that comes in there. Yeah. Woof. I can't. Oh, Jesus, what next? What? Let's get the profile line, because I feel like I was pretty confident about the profile line when I drew it. Of this sort of starting up here. And down for the eye. Bit of cheek, bit of jaw muscle. And this kind of up to about there, and then the rest of the jaw kind of goes up and sort of disappears into the hair there. Now, the interesting thing about the brow line here, I don't know if you can see this, it almost seems to make a sort of chevron shape, so that the brow lines come very close in this way. But they seem to almost have like both angles going on. So there's some coming down and some going up to make these kind of... it's like a chevron-like structure, as I said. Like so. And that really does come all the way out here. That goes down a little further, I think. This one, however, this sort of opens out towards that. Again, I'm going to draw the chevrons even though you can't see them in the picture, because it seems to have that shape about it, and I'm going to assume that she groomed her eyebrows the same way for each. So that's good, I guess. Now, I've drawn this line a bit too high actually. This should curl in a little more. And there's just a hint of this coming down here. And that's kind of it for that. I'm going to leave that. Now, I've got to bite this bullet eventually. I feel like this is actually slightly lower than this part here, and I've drawn it level. Do I want to fix this in the ink, or am I going to? I'm going to do a little bit more on the eyes first. Just a little bit more on the eyes. Just because we have time to get this stuff done. Yeah, I'm going to fix this in the ink, because I think that this actually starts lower, gets higher, and then goes to there. I feel like that's a better line. And this kind of has an almost... this starts down and then gives me a little bit of that, and then like so. A little curl there, and then up. And this almost sort of comes into behind this tooth. And so what we have here is this sort of dark area. Now I want to get the top teeth first because these are the ones that feel like they're these are the ones to sort of define, as it were. There's these ones. They're almost kind of like you can't really make out the tops of them for the most part. Yeah, I'm actually kind of pleased with that. I feel like that could have gone a lot worse. So then we have this bottom lip, which kind of comes up like so. That could have been better. And then this, which is a... yeah. Again, I apologise for how horrible this looks. I did ask you to pull a terrible face, and you did me proud. So, this hair kind of has a... kind of flows this way. Here. A little bit of hair here. Some that curls just kind of down like so. But then the rest of this has a very much a directional sense that it comes up here. And then down and kind of breaks into a fall here. So this is one straight up curve. And this sort of combs backwards like this. Now this is kind of the darker part, so I want to get some more in here to contrast it with the lighter parts elsewhere. Because down here it's a lot lighter. So where this is, it's kind of just got a few sort of defining areas of flow. And it gets darker down here, kind of in the shadow of the chin. And also kind of under here. I feel like we need some shadow. So what's missing? That should kind of meet up with that entirely. There's kind of a bit more darkness here on this lid. And there's definitely more lash going on here. Maybe not quite that much. But it's on the paper now, so it's not like I can do anything about it. What else? What's missing? I feel like I've made the hair so dark now that this needs to be darkened up a bit more. Yeah, I think that might be it. So I feel like I captured the tip of the nose really well. But not so much this wrinkle here. This looks completely wrong. I think I've done it too tight near the end, and it should have been tighter at the start and shallower at the end. And again, I think I've drawn the eyes too wide. I have this tendency to want to draw wider eyes than they actually are. These are very narrowed eyes, and I've drawn them quite large. I also feel like, in order to capture this, really interesting experiment that you can do. If you take the eyes of someone who is like blue-eyed, and there are a lot of people in like, you know, Hollywood actors and things who have blue eyes, and you don't even realise they have blue eyes. But then if you take a picture of them and you remove the blue from their eyes, you give them darker coloured eyes, they look completely different. They look like different people entirely. It's surprising how much difference the colour of someone's eyes make. Where have I put my eraser? It's funny, this was meant to be a study into the teeth, and I ended up doing a better study into the nose, I think. Well, it's kind of a bit squashed. I feel like that maybe comes a little too... Yeah, see this wrinkle here, that should actually tangent off with that line there. That's way too low. I've done that completely wrong. It's funny how you only spot these things when you actually start to examine after you've finished. As I'm sure I've said on many of these videos, they say no great work of art is ever finished, only abandoned. And that's the thing that I'm trying to get better at, which is knowing when to stop. Because the tendency is to go, oh, I'll just add an extra line, just add an extra line. And I end up with the hair being an absolute mass of darkness, just overhatched nonsense. I still feel like I'm not very good at doing hair. But I'm going to have 4 more chances to capture this hair, because she did images for a few other days as well. So maybe by the end of Expressions Week, I may not have learned to do expressions, but I will have learned to do hair. So yeah, that's... Looking at it now, it does look completely wrong in many ways. It's like that part you can kind of maybe, in that part you can sort of but when you put it together, it's sort of, it seems wrong. And like this here, this is too wide. This part of the face is way too wide because I've done the nose too squat. This should have been a longer nostril. Yeah, mistakes were made. Yeah. I'm not going to try and fix it because I feel like it can't be fixed. You may notice I'm doing this a lot earlier in the day because you can see sunlight out the window, because I'm trying to not do this late at night anymore. Partly because it means I have to wake up and be, you know, alive earlier in the day. And partly because I feel like doing this late at night is kind of setting myself up to fail, because I get tired and I'm not in my best state of mind for doing art if I just want to go to bed. And also putting the videos together, it means that I'm uploading these things after midnight, which is great for any Americans that want to see them. But I feel like no Americans are viewing these videos. In fact, I feel like nobody of anyone is viewing these videos except me and my friend Vicky. I'm now scanning these instead of doing what I was doing previously, which is taking photographs of the page and using my phone's automatic document cropping to fix the perspective, because I think that may also have been making them look a bit elongated here and there. But also I completely broke protocol today, because after scanning it, I realised that there was one line that would have really enhanced the shape of it, so I added the line and did a second scan here. This is now the finished piece.